Hi there, teachers. Hopefully this little video will help you get reoriented with your VR systems. Once you've logged in and you've got your desktop showing, you'll want to open up the Steam program, which is over here. Double click on that, and it should ask you to log in. You'll notice that your account name is already there. The password is as I have explained on a piece of paper because you can't see what I'm typing right now. So once you get your password in there, click on login. I would not opt to have it remember your password, just because I don't ever recommend that you opt to have it remember your password. Once that program opens, you're going to see this pop-up, which it says the Friends Network is loading. I'm still working on having that not be a pop-up. You simply X out of that. And then you can see all of the VR programs that you have at your disposal. A couple important notes about this screen. First of all, you should not be able to click on Store. You should not be able to click on Community. You should only be able to click on Library. And if you hover over that, it does break it down to the different categories. I would just recommend always staying kind of in that VR category because then it gives you everything that you need. If you're not seeing this view with the different buttons like this, chances are it's because over here it's just not on the grid view. Maybe you have the list view, and maybe you have the details view opened. If you want it to look like this, I tried to set it all this way. I figured this would be easier to engage with the students. Down here you have your friends and chat, which you should not be able to get into. Good. I've clicked a million times and it's not letting me in. And then over here it does say add a game. This is live. We're just not going to draw any attention to it by the kids. If they try to get in there, it should at some point in time shut them down because I have set it so that nobody can edit that without a specialized PIN number. So, and just for safekeeping, I'm not going to tell anybody the PIN number for at least a little bit so that we can kind of just get established and get our bearings. And then we'll talk about PIN number. The other thing I want to show you up here is the zoom bar right next to where the view is. You can make these icons bigger or smaller. I tend to like to be able to see everything on one page, so I'm usually right about there, a little left of center. You'll notice that the green piece up here shows the little green icon. You're in family view. You can select that to change it, but that's where you'll need the pin view for. So that's just showing you that it is safe. If you ever see that this is red up here, you need to pull the kids off of it because that means that they've hacked it. So if you do see this red, just notice that that means something is amiss and pull the kids off and give me a call and we'll get you a reset there. Now, normally you'll be able to just click on whatever program you want to go into right away. But for right now, I want you to finish kind of setting up your machine. So if you go over to the upper left here where it says Steam View, Games, and Help, and you go to View, and you just want to go to Start STEM VR. This screen will pop up. Just click No. It gets you to where I need you to get you to. I'm sure there's an easier way, but this is the way that I have figured out around it. Because if you do that, it'll pop up this little screen down in the middle bottom right there. And this is where we need to do our room setup, and this is where we need to do our firmware updates, and it's the easiest way I can get you there. Again, this is only a one-time step to just kind of get things set up to your environment. First thing you want to do is update the firmware, which means you left click on where it says Steam VR 1.2.10. You go up to Devices across to Update Firmware, and give that a left click. Notice how all of these on this machine say that they're up to date, so you're good to go. If there would be an update available, it will say Update Available, and it'll be underlined, so you simply click that link and then it'll take you to the place where you need to get updated. It's just another pop-up window. When that's done, it'll say Success, and then it will either say Update something else or it'll say Done, and then it gets you back to the screen. So once all of these say Up to Date, you are able to cancel that out. Go back down, click again, and now we're going to go into running the room setup. When you click on that, it will say exiting Steam VR mode, and then another little pop-up comes up. I'm going to maximize just so we can see this as big as we can. So we can set up for room scale or we can set up for standing only. We're going to set up for standing only because I don't think we need to set up for the kids to be able to move around quite as much as what the room scale is giving them the opportunity to. When you click on standing only, it will take you through all of these and tell you to do specific things, like place the headset in a location visible from the base station. So while this is happening, you just want to be able to walk through. It'll show you that the headset is ready, and then you click Next. Stand in the middle of your cleared space, so it tells you exactly what to do. Hold it dead center, or try to, and then you calibrate center. It'll fill that bar all the way over. Click Next, and then you locate what's called the floor. This is the vertical distance between the surface and the floor. So if you place your headset on the floor near zero, if you place it on your head and on your height, so on and so forth. I usually set it right on the desk that the computer is sitting on, the monitor and the keyboard are sitting on. And then I usually will put in that this is 36 inches off the floor, roughly. It's about roughly 3 feet. So then you're going to calibrate the floor. That finishes, you click Next, and the setup is complete. You might need to do this more than once depending on if the calibration is ruined or changes over time, but otherwise this is usually a once and done type experience. So then you click Next, and we've done that. You can run the tutorial, which probably isn't a bad idea. It takes you through how to use the headset and the handsets and all of that again. But once you've got those two pieces done, you've checked your firmware updates and you've run your room setup, then you're pretty much good to go. The other comment I want to make right now is about these two boxes down here on the bottom. These are your base stations. And if they aren't lit like this, chances are that means that one of the wires has wiggled loose. So you might want to start troubleshooting yourself by just unplugging and plugging back in to the two small cubes that are mounted to the right and left of your monitor. You also can unplug and reconnect into the back of the tower. For those of you with the lockable carts, that might be a little bit of a wiggle to get that in and around, and they didn't leave much excess cordage to be able to do that, but it can be done because I have done it before. I'll try to help you with this as much as I can. When you see that it's not lit like the headset is showing right now, that just means the base stations are not reading it. I'm going to grab that and I lift it back up, and the minute that it's seen by the base stations, you'll notice it goes back live again. I set it back down on the counter, and it can't be read anymore, it'll probably go back on. The handsets, you notice, are flashing. That just means that they're idle. Same thing. If you pick them up and move them, chances are they'll go back online like they are right now. You'll also notice that if they're charging, they'll have a green light. If they're on, they'll have a white light on. So that's just kind of a quick check that if the kids are saying that something's not working, that you could say, oh, well, that's because the headset's in standby mode and we need to move it to wake it up, or it can't be read or something like that. You can identify the controller. If you click here, it'll buzz in your hand to show you which one is which. You can also see kind of battery charge over here if you hover over that. There's a time where you might need to pair the controller, and it'll have that option down right here. You can also pair them. If you go up under devices, it's under there as well. If something's just completely amiss, I would suggest going up and trying to reboot the Vive headset, which you can also do by just Xing out here and trying to open up a program again. The other thing I want you guys to notice is that once we started up this little box, there are some other pieces that popped up here. Oh, how handy, looky there. There's the Steam VR room setup right there that you can play, so you don't even have to go in and use this one right there. There's also your tutorial, and some workshop tools, and then just the one that we clicked on in the beginning to kind of get started. I think that gets you set. The other thing I'll caution you about, if I haven't mentioned it yet, things like Google Earth, Organon, the realities, they take a long time to kind of get loaded and ready to go. There's others that are much quicker. Home is another one that just takes a long time to kind of get up and running. So you'll want to make sure that you kind of go in and play with all of these and make sure that you know where that time frame is. And fair warning, Organon is always the one that I would go into first to start getting the machines ready to go, and there's really no good way to exit out of Organon unless you take the headset off and you literally go in and you like find the X up here in the upper right hand corner and shut it down that way, which is challenging at times. But just to kind of show you what I mean, and since I have time in this, I am going to show you, go through and actually go in and get that running for you. Simply because there's another little trick that I learned that I want to be able to share with you as well. When you fully get into Organon, which is showing it, there we go. It's looking down because the headset is face down on the counter right now. You'll notice there's no X in the upper right hand corner, and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I get out of here? On the keyboard, if you look for the little Windows icon and you hit that Windows icon, it will actually come up so that you can see that lower bar again, and then if you can click this and you do a right click, that's how you can close that window back out again. It took me a minute to be able to get that. And then to get this menu to go back down again, you simply hit the Windows button on the keyboard again, and then you're able to get out of there. That'll work for any of them. Some of them, you'll be in there and you'll notice the little X on the upper right hand screen of the screen, but other times you won't.